Because if one country had been allowed to stand up with sound currency, everybody in this world would have said, hey, let's follow their example. Let's follow the formula, the recipe. How did America get to have universal prosperity for all its residents? Because it had sound currency, knowing that every job is important. I don't know why Americans are allowing this to happen. You know, people trying to blame minimum wage increases on inflation. I say, outrageous, outrageous. I know the truth from lies. And I know that's a lie from the pit of hell. It's not a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg here. Okay, folks, we know what came first. Your cost of living increased. Your currency was debased. Your wages have fallen behind the curve. Now they need to be readjusted to compensate for the inflation, which has debased your currency. Do you see how this works? So that's the check and balances. No, the people you want to blame are the market manipulators, the price fixers, wherever they are. And like I pointed out, all these government agencies, now these welfare workers, these social welfare workers have these high-paying jobs. Now they don't have any interest in seeing poverty go away. Quite the contrary. Now they've got a staked interest in seeing the poverty increase. Do you see this, how clear it is? It's right in front of our faces. And all these real estate companies, now most of these real estate agents that work for these real estate companies, they're all a bunch of property managers. They're all just, they make me want to vomit. Okay, that's all they're doing. They're just the lackeys, you know? They're doing the dirty work. They're the grunts. They're doing the heavy lifting. They got to face those tenants paying those outrageous rents. And they got to take them to court. They got to do the dirty work for what these top money printers. It's the money printers creating the policy. So don't blame your local bank. Your local bank is going to get away with whatever the hell they can. Okay, whatever doesn't land them in jail, and they feel relatively certain that they're going to get payback. It's insured, in other words. And who's it insured by? The Rockefellers? No, by we the people. And how do they extract it from the poor? By raising your cost of living and creating more poverty. That's it, by debasing your currency, because you don't see the rich paying for things. Hell, they could get an attorney that'll get them off their taxes. You know, get them to pay a fraction of what they owe. So that's the way they're making the people pay, is through increasing your cost of living without any compensation. You know, this is okay. This is moral, ethical behavior, and this should be lawful behavior. No, these are the lawless ones that have done this to us. And it's written in Scripture that in the last day, the lawless ones would be exposed. And that's any of these people, these top establishmentarians and all the minions down that are supporting it and saying, I'll just go along quietly, get along because I've got my security, I get my paycheck, I've got tenure, and you know, I can't rock the boat because I care about my family and all this. Not thinking ahead at all into the future. Well, maybe they think, oh, well, through nepotism, I'll get my kids a government job and they'll get their kids. And you know, in their sick little minds, they've rationalized that this is in any way okay. And it isn't, folks. It isn't. Okay, and the reason that these people will not allow one country to have sound currency is, again, because that country would act as a beacon, a light for the rest of the world, and the rest of the world would demand sound currency. They'd say, wait, we see how they did it. They had checks and balances. They demanded accountability. And they pointed the finger at the market manipulators whenever you had a spike in the cost of living, inflation, which debases your currency. Your current income is worth less. So, I mean, to me, it's unconscionable. Okay, insufferable injustice not to give a cost of living adjustment and say, hey, don't blame me. It's not my fault the currency was debased. You did that first. We know what came first. The market manipulators, the price rigging, the price fixing. And there's the culprits, the government agents. They're the ones creating the poverty. They're the ones creating the wealth disparity. And all you private parties that are benefiting and quietly going along with it, you're all complicit. It's all of your fault. Folks, you know, and violence isn't the answer. Another bloody revolution. We're way far down the line right now. I believe we're at this period where we're transitioning out of one age and into another, like Jesus talked about. You know, where, you know, eventually he ends up returning with this multitude of angels. I believe all this stuff. Call me delusional if you want, but that's written in Scripture. And every Christian on earth believes the same stuff. If they say they believe the teaching of Jesus, they believe the Bible, well, they're believing the same thing. So this is a literal occurrence where Jesus returns, you know. There has been very incredible accounts of supernatural things in the Bible. Okay, like this star that these three wise men followed, right? The Star of Bethlehem, and then the light that came down to Saul, when when he had his conversion. So the idea that God has these other beings and they've got far advanced technology, they're actually imperishable driving crafts that are indestructible, is a huge threat to the system. So if you want to know why they don't talk about this stuff on the basis of what's written in history and what's written in the Bible about angelic beings, both holy and unholy or fallen angels, they don't want you to know that stuff. They want you to be afraid of them. They extract their pound of flesh from you through this perverted sense of fear, reverence, respect for them, intimidation, through violence and oppression. And folks, I'm fed up to here with violence and oppression. Okay, I hate violence and oppression. Okay, but I tell you what, the fact is that if all of us were packing heat, okay, and when we went and got a loan from the bank, okay, there's a far less likely chance that bank is going to hand you a bunch of trickery, fine print, because essentially that's what the fine print is. It's a form of sorcery, because any type of trickery, illusionism, trickery that's it. It's sorcery. Okay, it is what it is. When they know damn well, these people that are drafting up the fine print in the contracts, they know damn well the vast majority of people do not read it. Okay, they don't even just skim over it. They don't not just peruse it. They don't even skim over it. They might pretend like they read it, just like you might read an online contract about. I mean, who on earth are you going to spend the whole day reading a contract in fine print? Who's going to do it? And then are you going to be able to comprehend it without an attorney by your side to translate the language? I mean, the whole thing is a setup, folks. We've all been set up by a bunch of grand puppeteers. That's who the money printers are, the grand puppeteers. And here in America, we are the tippy top of the pyramid, okay? Because it's a military thing. Because we are the most militarily mighty country on earth, all the other countries bow down to a degree and say yes. So they pay homage and they succumb to our military might, and they say, okay, whatever you want, America. Like Germany asking for their gold, and the Fed saying, well, we'll return it a little here and there. I mean, basically, other countries have to accept whatever policies the American government makes. And again, who's at the top of the American government? It's supposed to be we the people. That's supposed to be the proper term definition for government, is we the people. No, again, it's the money printers. They're at the very top creating. And who is the top central bank money printer in America? It's the Federal Reserve Bank. These are the people that create the debt, and the last thing they want is a debt paid off. Okay? The last thing they want, they would lose control. And all the people, some 25% of the American people are employed in the financial services industry. Do you see how deeply we're into this thing? We don't have to wait for economic catastrophe. It's here. Accept it. Survivor class, rise up. Speak your heart and mind. You're free in America. You tell them the country you demand. You don't just let them keep force feeding you this bull. Oh no, well, it's out of control now. We don't know. It's overwhelming. What to do? But they created the problem. And this is how we're going to do it. We're taking over the money printing presses. And it's going to say, we the people. And it's going to allow everybody across the board to get ahead. The public at large, because every occupation is important. And the most important ones are being subjugated and marginalized. Jobs like the farm workers. Maybe that's why this is going on in America. Maybe it's some kind of a karmic thing, like as you sow, so you reap. We've all turned our heads and, like the grapes of wrath. Oh, that's just too bad for those poor hungry souls that are willing to do anything. These poor peasants, well, it's always through history. We've got these abjectly poor people that are being oppressed, and, somehow it's okay. It's not okay. Get it through your head. That's how they get away with this. That's how they get away with the ever-increasing wealth disparity. That's how they get away with this mess we're in. How we all know we're going to hit a wall once this survivor class rises up. Once all the weak are dead through attrition. That's the end of your social Darwinistic rule of illegitimacy. You bunch of thugs and murderers out there. You know, you're detested by the Spirit of God. He hates injustice. The God of the Bible is a champion of the poor, the downtrodden, the misfits, the disenfranchised. Okay? He loves them. He cares about them. And that's what makes a lot of sense. And that's why I stand up for their cause. Because I don't give a crap that I'm smart enough to get ahead. And I could make sure that my kids are prosperous and secure too. I don't give a crap about that. I don't give a crap about that. You know, maybe at death everything ought to go back to the treasury. You know, the way it really needs to be is an understanding that from birth, this planet is God's. As such, it's yours too. You're born unthinkably wealthy. We all are. That means you're born free. Because sound currency is only a means to the end. And freedom is the end. You want freedom from anybody's ability to hold one over you, hold you over a barrel, to oppress you financially, to be a tyrant, okay? And that's what sound currency would do. And that's why these people cannot let us have it. Because all the problems would gradually go away. They would dissipate of their own accord. As everybody had dignity and respect for the job that they did for society, in whatever capacity, and as there was less and less work because of mechanization taking over, industrialization, automation, robotics, and all these things, this is good. What's wrong with having a shorter work week? What's wrong with having I don't want to hear a damn